And we are live on Tomb of the Spider Queen for the inaugural day of Season 4 of Chair League. My name is Terra Spaz, and I'm here to bring you an exciting match between Mule Whisperers in Division 2, and their opponents are going to be Big Dick Damage on the red team. Big Dick Damage has selected Tomb of the Spider Queen to be the map, so they're deferring first pick to the Mule. And as is been pretty common here as of late, Ragnaros, the first ban from Mule. There's a lot of, with a small map like this, it's not that difficult to be able to get to a fort that you're able to trigger your trade on, and aside from his trade, he has a lot of tools in his kit that lets him get into the middle of a wave and make sure he leaves. In addition to that, I've had thoughts go back and forth on Lava Wave as a heroic on the map, because on the one hand, the minions you kill, you're probably not going to collect all those gems, so it does cost your team gems, but if you do get a turn in, it guarantees that the spiders are going to spawn as far forward as they possibly can, barring weird stuff like Mercy. I don't know, I think right now I'm in the camp that it's a good heroic, but it'll probably change with time. Diablo going to be the first pick for Mule into Malfurion and Artanis from Big Dick Damage. So not a whole lot of surprises other than perhaps the Kelthus ban, which is a refreshing change from every Hero League game I've been in the last couple of weeks, where Ragnaros and Artanis are just immediately off the table. Nice to see the King of the Protoss getting a bit of play here. Mule looking to finish out the rest of their team before the second round of bans, rather, and Diablo a priority pick that can go well with a whole lot of folks, especially on a map where you have to be in the middle of a minion wave, where you have to be standing around a point for a while. There's a lot of walls, and if you can get good positioning on an enemy hero, you can put them in a real bad spot. So definitely a positive pick for Mule. Also, if you are coming into Chair League from last season, you'll appreciate Blizzard's new tournament draft setup, which is a little more streamlined than we've had in the past. So thank you, Blizz devs, for that. Keep it up. We appreciate it. Tychus and Brightwing, the picks for Mule, and they've got a pretty solid core of being able to get through at a nice continuous pace a given minion wave. So this, without having to commit a whole lot of high-powered or high cooldown abilities, something like your Jaina's, for instance. But going into the bans here, Mule could do with another dollop of damage, and Big Dick Damage is going to take that away, taking ban off the table. So Dick Damage really, it's eventually I'll get used to saying that. Very aware of the power that mages can bring to this map. There's, especially if your enemy gets, if your opponent gets a turn in, there's a large cluster of things you need to destroy, and Gul'dan and Kelthus very good at dealing with turn-ins from the enemy camps. In addition to putting pressure on when received it yourself. So definitely have a clear game plan coming into this. ETC going to be the ban from Mule. And I guess I'm mostly afraid of the stage dive, or just the presence he has sliding around the map, sliding into and out of those turn-in points. Because they do seem to have plenty of tools to deal with Mush, but that's probably not the order of the day. BDD back on the button for their turn, and still missing a good bit of solid damage, maybe another frontliner or two. But they've got a lot of flexibility in where they can go. They got a very beefy support, they got a damage dealing bruiser, and they've got another one in the form of Varian. Two of them can make a excellent wall for Vala, so they've got a nice core here to rotate through a couple lanes. Maybe just missing a solo laner, so maybe a Thrall, or it's been a while. Not sure who I would pick there, but he is still on the table, and may have a place here, especially with not a huge amount of blinds on the side of Manor Mule. Not a whole lot of opportunities to pick him up. But the newly buffed Sonya is going to go onto their team, another excellent ally for Diablo. I hear they're the best of friends in canon, to help protect Tychus as he guns down his foes. And to round it out, I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe another help on a range damage, maybe a mage, or maybe a Medivh. What a first game! I take a break from casting for 3-4 months, and we jump straight into a game with Medivh. I could not be more excited. Really pumped. So what does big dick damage come into for that? I don't really know. I'm kind of at a loss on this. They could still have plenty of mages on the table. They could. They don't have a whole lot of. Probably want someone who has the ability to get away with all the diving potential of Diablo, of Sonya, of the entire team, courtesy of Medivh. So maybe somebody with some agility, somebody who can move around pretty quick, someone who's not going to commit themselves too hard to the fight. And that's kind of where they go. They get Tassadar, one of the least killable heroes in the game. So it's going to come down on the heavy shoulders of Vala, I feel, to be able to produce enough damage to get a pick and be able to target it correctly to kind of get around what Manor Mule's engagement plan. So I would expect to see, an immediate dive from maybe Sonya to spear in and stun somebody, let Diablo get the repositioning, and all the while Medivh's gonna take whoever's in the front line and just make sure they can complete their task. They're not gonna get burned down in the process. If Manor Mule Whisperers can get an early pick in their engagements, I think they're gonna do well. But that one explosion of damage is gonna have to come pretty quickly, because BDD is gonna have a lot of ability to respond to that and weather the storm. So if they can do that, I think they're gonna be in good shape. But we should get a sense of where that's gonna go in the run up to level 10. And we are live, loaded into Tomb of the Spider Queen on the side of Manor Mule Whisperers. On the blue team, we've got Tempest on Sonya, Functor on Medivh, Alistair on Tychus, P on Diablo, and McGilligan on Brightwing. And for big dick damage on the red team, we've got Chewy-san on Vala, Apocalypse on Varian, Kronos on Malfurion, Jason86 on Artanis, and Grenadier on Tassadar. Gates are down, teams are rushing headlong into the middle of the map, and we see both teams going with the, fortunately now standard, initial engagement in the top. Both teams kind of sussing each other out. Tassadar very confident that no one's around him. Medivh confident that he knows where everybody is. So both teams have relatively good information on each other, so I'm not expecting any immediate picks, any overly aggressive engagements. Just enough to clear the wave, get some engagements, or get some gems rather. We see Sonya peel away to start solo laning in bottom. It looks like Tassadar is going to contest her here. We're going to see a 4-man rotation from the other two teams up in the top. So a lot of damage coming down on Tychus a little early. Will the Phase Prism get him? No, it's going to get Diablo instead. So not a very juicy target to jump on, especially that close to Manor Mule. So both teams continuing to rotate back and forth, just pick off on minions. And it's a pretty soft, casual game of heroes right now. No one looking to do anything super crazy. Maybe a little engagement here in the middle. Nope, just chips passing in the night. How are you doing? Have a great time. Meanwhile, new and improved Tassadar trying to go toe-to-toe with Sonya, and for all the buffs and all the improvements, Sonya may be just a bit too tough of a cookie. Excellent response from Medivh, making sure he doesn't get bullied into a wall and taken out. A lot of damage going down on Artanis, though. I may have to consider hearthing or tapping if you stick around in this. Both teams doing really well managing some gems. Essentially, just right now, both teams appear like they're waiting for their opponent to make a mistake. Looks like the Tassadar-Sonya matchup in the bottom is going fairly well. It's at a stalemate. Both towers, sets of towers at very high ammos. Nothing much doing there. And both teams looking to play very safe. It's a new season. No one wants to start off on the wrong foot, and people have been practicing in some cases for months, trying to prepare themselves for the next season and show off what they've learned in the offseason. Trying to get a pick on Sonya, but correctly sussed out that something was out. And, oh, a big pick on Artanis here. Can't quite get the Phase Prism off where he wants to. It looks like he's going to be able to get away, but not before taking a whole bunch of damage. And that tap is not going to be available, so he's going to have to play it very safe and rely on Malfurion for a while, or go ahead and hearth back. But nope, looks like he's going to rely on his shield and grace of Elune to keep himself in the fight. But both teams still approaching that 50 gem mark to begin threatening spiders. And it looks like Sonya went ahead and turned some in just to make that not an issue very much. Teams solidly in level 5. Sonya now rotating up to the mid lane, trying to get some pressure to push Big Dig damage back to, away from the gems to look to collect, but so far they seem to be doing pretty well. Tassadar gets the opportunity to turn his gems in, so now we're at 15 to 18 in the bank, so both teams now do have enough to get the turn in if they can get time, but both teams try, and it's going to be hard for both teams to do that, although it looks like Diablo is going to be able to slam his 23, so Mule very close to summoning the spiders, only 9 gems away. Right now, most of the gems for Big Dig damage in the hands of Varian. It looks like he's going to be able to slam his in, but Eve scouting that out just a little bit late. 33 now in the bank for BDD. Rotation's getting a little bit looser, a little bit stretched. Teams trying to make sure they don't miss a wave, they don't drop behind in that precious experience. But it looks like the first turn in is going to go to Big Dig damage. Malfurion, I believe, getting the last turn in there in the bottom, not wanting to contest. Waiting until Mule showed themselves in the top lane, nope, and it was going to be relatively safe. So good map awareness from Big Dig damage and the Malfurion player. And so it looks like we're going to have the bulk of the force up here in the top lane. Mule's response starts out with all 5 members just burning down the spider here in mid, just making nothing of it. We'll see if they continue as a large ball or if they split up to deal with top and bottom separately. Doing a fair bit of work up here in top, but again, both teams very conscious of taking risks. BDD not looking to take a 3-on-4 fight or even a rough engagement, but a huge phase swap on Diablo. Medivh's going to keep his health pool real high and make sure he doesn't take any of that burst damage, and they are able to get away. So earlier on, when I said that it looked like Mule was going to be the jump in, dive, explode out some damage, it looks like it's the opposite. It's the Artanis show, and how do both teams respond to Artanis? And it looks like so far Mule has responded very well. They've been able to mitigate a lot of damage every time that phase prism's gone off. So really good awareness, but a bunch of damage coming down on Sonya, and she's going to fall out down in the bottom lane as the rotation comes down with the entire force. BDD just secures the first takedown of the game. But they are going to, Mule is going to use that opportunity, knowing where everybody on big damage is, to get their turn in kind. So we'll see how the board shakes out at the end of this. Big dive from Artanis, not a whole lot of damage here to capitalize on that just yet. Oh no, but Medivh getting phase prismed after he's been protected and after his portal's up, so he's can't quite make it back to safety. So that's a big hit against Mule. It's gonna be a man down for this spider push, but they're giving it a shot. They know that Variant's in the mid lanes. They're trying to see what they can do 4v4. Another huge swap from Artanis, isolating that Sonya. Health's fairly low. Is she going to be able to get to safety? Yes. Diablo securing the pick for her and making sure she's not going to suffer the same fate once again. But Spider's still up in fairly large force. Middle is being burned down, but bottom's still got some damage yet to come out. We'll see if Mule wants to try to engage into 10s with the Spider advantage. And it looks like the answer is yes. Sonya going in quite hard. A lot of damage coming out against them from BDD. The protect goes out on Sonya, but it's not going to be enough. Is it going to be one? Bunch of damage on Medivh, but he is going to be able to get to safety. Diablo trying to block everyone out, make sure that nothing else comes out. So all said and done, after each round of turn-ins, structures are about the same level. We see the bottom structure here for BDD without towers. We see much the same story here on the top for Mule. And across the map, it's if you were just looking at the board and ignoring the stats on the characters, it's a fairly close game. But Big Dick Damage is enjoying a considerable advantage, up a level and a quarter or so. Mule just now getting their heroics. And there are enough gems in the pockets of BDD to immediately get a turn in. So fortunately for Mule, they are going to have heroics to be able to contest this. And are we going to see a rotation to try and envelop BDD? It looks like the answer is going to be no. They're just trying to capture as much experience as they can. Brightwing waiting for the last second to warp in, get some value out of that phase shift. And here comes the engagement on Varian. Varian dropping critically low. The blind is not going to come quite in time to save it, but Mule dropping fairly low. Can they get another pick with their positioning? Artanis is trying to see if he can get in there, but a huge bucket of damage coming out from Tychus against Vala. So a 2-for-0 in favor of Mule, and that's going to really limit the amount of damage that BDD can use with this turn-in. Bottom Spider able to take out the wall. Looks like we might see the same story here in mid, but top's not going to be unlikely to accomplish much. But Sonya here getting rotated on from Artanis, Malfa, and Tassadar. Is she going to be able to get away? Can she dodge the phase prism? Yes. So it looks like she's going to be able to get to safety. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Tychus just burning down the Spider. Should be through any instant now. And now everybody's back on the map. Notably, Big Dick Damage. I guess they did use Archon to try to secure the Sonya kill. So both teams licking their wounds, trying to get back on board with ultimate. But we should have everybody on board up for the next engagement. And both teams are still quite far from turning in or any huge map objective right now. And Mule with those takedowns have done a really nice job getting back on track with the experience game. They were trailing by a whole bunch, and Medivh needs to be careful here. Can he get out of this? Yes, his portal is gonna get him back to safety, but a nice setup from BDD, trying to force a mistake where they can, but Medivh's been around a long time. You're not gonna pull one over on him. Not today. 13 talents on board for BDD, and with that they do secure the first structure of the game, the bottom fort falling. And BDD in the setting up a trap, trying to get people isolated business. Even if just for an instant, trying to see, well, maybe we can set up something here, but a big engagement here in the top. A big Apocalypse going out, catching 3 members of BDD, and the damage comes pouring out. BDD a bit, oh, it's close. A huge swap. This should be the end of Diablo and possibly Tychus as well. Can Mule get any takedowns in kind? They do get Malfurion. So a 2-for-1, but Diablo is back on board. Can Brightwing escape? A critical ultimate from Medivh probably saved at least himself and Brightwing. Unfortunately, not enough to also grab Sonya, but that could have spelled certain doom for the. That could have been a total team wipe against Manor Mule, but good reaction from Medivh to mitigate the damage, to stop the bleeding, and so instead it is just a 3-for-1. But again, not a whole lot active on the map to be able to really capitalize on that. Again, just now approaching a full gem count to be able to get spiders pushing. Sonya now back on the map. But Big Dick Damage now has that level advantage. They acquired early on in the game and let slip away. We'll see what they intend to do with it. If they're going to force the turn in now or try and get some experience so that they can gauge on each team. Sonya once again leading the charge, trying to get some vision, figure out what the other team is doing. An engagement on Diablo. He's gonna instead bully Artanis a bit, but that blind has been huge, just completely turning off Tychus and Sonya in some cases if she's not whirlwinding. But the takedown is going to go down on Diablo. He did use his 100 Soul Resurrect earlier, so he's going to be on the full cooldown, and unfortunately won't be available for this round of spiders that are barreling down against Manor Mule. Sonya trying to mitigate this down in the bottom lane, but the entire force of Big Dick Damage is going to surround her and immediately eliminate her, so another takedown against Manor Mule. And it looks like BDD is going to just try and put a big hurting on the bottom lane here. Leaving Tychus and company to clean up in mid, letting top fend for itself. But while forts are nice, they know the real prize here is a keep if they can get it. And with Spider at pretty decent health, and Sonya's still a few seconds away from spawning, especially if they can get a pick on Tychus. But a nice protection from Medivh is going to keep him in safe. A big apocalypse from Diablo, but the damage just isn't quite there yet. Can't get what he wants. A nasty swap on Brightwing's gonna just shove her straight into the keep and then shunt her to the side like so much refuse. So it's going to be a 2-for-0 so far in favor of Big Dick Damage. Do they think they can close out on this? They've got about 15 seconds. Looks like the answer is going to be no, as we see several members start withdrawing. Vala maybe getting the memo just a little bit later, but she is going to be just fine. So they started the clock. They have they can now have Big Dick Damage can now have a lot of time, a lot of patience, a lot of flexibility to do almost anything they want on the map. They have a 3-level advantage. 16 talents not quite available for Manor Mule yet, but looks like they're going to elect to go take boss, and that's one of the huge benefits if you have your choice on this map of taking out the keep in the bottom lane. If you get top lane, you can use the boss to help push, but in this case, even if Manor Mule engages, and even if they get a strong retreat against BDD, they're not going to be in position to deal with that wave in the bottom, but they do get to pick on Varian. That's pretty critical. The fight is on for the control of the boss. A huge silence coming out from Malfurion. Heroes dying left and right, but unfortunately most of them seem to be on the side of Manor Mule with 3 for 2 so far. Diablo falling really low. Brightwing is almost certainly doomed here, and it's a full team wipe and a boss for BDD barreling down on the top lane. And so with Vala, Artanis, and Tassadar, they can use this and secure a tremendous amount of damage for this. Boss should be on the gates of the keep before Manor Mule can really mount a meaningful defense. So they may have to go ahead and write this keep off. It seems like it's going to be really difficult to save, especially 3 levels down. And BDD, once they secure this, they may just burst straight into Storm Talents. It's going to be awfully close, and they do receive that, but they're not looking to press the issue. They say, you know what, we've got this huge advantage. The way we lose this game is by making a mistake, by surrendering a pick. We don't need to win the game right now. Let's take our time, and we do have some core damage just from catapults and a little bit of damage from the boss here. So now now Manor Mule's in a really tough spot. They've got to constantly monitor top. They have to constantly monitor bottom. And it really is, I think, going to take a colossal engagement, a colossal portal, a colossal sneak into the back line. Someone needs to make a hero play in order to get back in this, because they don't have a lot of time. Time is not on their side. And BDD looking to make a rotation here to win the game, as spiders are coming in as a reinforcement right behind them. Manor Mule trying to mount a defense, and here's where I think this is where it's going to come down to. If Manor Mule can get a solid pick, a solid engagement, if they can win this fight, then they have time to breathe. They have time to get some map control back, and the engagement comes down on Vala, but not quite. The blind comes down from Artanis. If Manor Mule can get away, they may be able to re-engage, and a huge Apocalypse is going to be the tool they need to do that. So can they use this opportunity to secure a takedown? Protection does go down on Diablo. So many people, such low health. Diablo's low, Varian's low, Tychus is now at 0, but Tassadar falls in kind, so a 1-for-1 so far. Shield still up on the core. Artanis falls, as does Sonya, so it's 3-on-3. Diablo dies. He'll be back in just a couple seconds. But Manor Mule may have done what they needed to hang on. They burned down the spider. If they can force the remaining heroes on BDD away, they should be able to have time to respond to the ever-mounting pressure down in the bottom lane. Oh, but it's such a rough position. I mean, they're hanging on. They're almost. They maybe even be able to save this keep too. No, but BDD knows that. Manor Mule can't solve all those problems at once, so they will remove the last remaining keep on Manor Mule's side of the board. But crucially, they managed to hang on. A good defense from Manor Mule. I think that was, barring a blunder on BDD's part, I think that was about as well as that could have gone for them. They essentially traded evenly. They didn't take any additional core damage. Yeah, they did lose the keep, but I mean, if BDD wanted to, I think they could have just gone straight in through the middle and gotten it without any issue from the start. But they almost have enough gems for the turn-in. They can start thinking about making a play. Medivh scouting it out, trying to figure out where is safe. But BDD commands so much vision on the map that it's almost impossible for Manor Mule to make a move without BDD knowing exactly where they are and exactly what they're doing and exactly the best way to punish them. But Medivh has that ability too, and here comes possibly an engagement. No, not quite so much. Phase Prism almost catches the tail of Brightwing and takes her back. So no engagement so far. Medivh, I think, a little wanting to make sure that they don't engage on him, trying to be safe, knowing that at this stage of the game, a single hero takedown could just push the needle one way or the other. But it looks like BDD is tired of waiting. They're looking to take this catapult and this mercenary camp in to do some more damage. We haven't seen the hard engage yet. So far Manor Mule still hanging on. Nothing quite hitting the core. Minion wave's fully pushed in, so they're gonna have to spend some time responding to this. But otherwise, BDD has nothing to do on the map. There's well, I take that back. There is a mercenary camp they can take as a parting gift from them to Manor Mule, and a lot of minions here on the core. Like, Manor Mule does not have a choice, but they have, other than responding to this, have to respond to that right now. And that gives BDD enough time to take the mercenary camp, and if they want, Boss just became available. So that is always an option for them. A huge phase swap on Sonya. The damage comes down. Medivh gets the save off just in time. Oh, a bit of a nombo there between Apocalypse and Medivh. It could have been the saving grace, but instead there's just so much damage just coming out of BDD that it's going to be 3 for nothing, and that is going to be game as the catapults close in. The final takedown on Brightwing, the final bell on the game, and that's gonna do it. Congratulations to BDD on if nothing else, just really understanding how the map works, where they can go, how to get certain objectives. I mean, there at the end, it seemed like they were always rotating from one thing to the next. There wasn't any loitering around trying to figure out, well, I guess I should be in this lane, but there's nothing really to do, but I guess I'll be here. It was almost surgical. They went from this wave to that wave to set up a pick here. If the pick isn't there, move on to something else. I mean, they were always attacking, and that's, maybe I'm just that rusty, but I completely misread this from the beginning. There is a ton of value placed on that long distance Artanis swap, and with the shields from Tassadar and the regen from Malfurion. I guess they're not worried about Artanis. One of the big disadvantages to the Artanis swap is that it puts Artanis in a bad spot too, potentially. But they just had so much confidence and they believed enough in the Artanis that they didn't have to worry about that, and they can turn all attention on priority one, which was blowing up whoever was on the end of that phase prism. And credit to Medivh. I mean, almost every time that protection came down as fast as possible to try and limit that. And I mean, credit to Manor Mule, especially there at the end when they had to take an engagement at the gate of their core. I don't know if they were 3 levels down at the time. Maybe it was only 2, but they were at a disadvantage and they were able to take that fight almost even. I think they did lose an additional Diablo, but it's kind of built into his trait, right? Sometimes Diablo dies and it doesn't really stick. But it was a really good defense. And unfortunately, I think there was a bit of sequencing of abilities there, especially there at the end, that might have really given them a strong chance to win. But ultimately, Big Dick Damage does take the game and the match. This was a best of 1 for tonight. So congratulations to them. Unfortunately, there is only one W, so they will walk away from it. But well played game from both teams. Happy to say that's what games on Tomb of the Spider Queen should look like. So very well played from both. My name's been Terra Spaz. It's been a joy and a privilege to bring you this match at Heroes of the Storm, and I'll see y'all in the Nexus. Take care.